I started off by researching into the first 2 minutes of fantasy films from 4 different decades to show how they developed over time. As a group, Jessie, Amy, and myself each chose 4 different films and looked at camera work, editing, mise-en-scene, and sound. This enabled us to have an idea of the generic features included in a real media product. I researched Time Bandits from 1981, Matilda from 1996, Ella Enchanted from 2004, and Twilight Saga Eclipse from 2010. I found that all 4 films that I looked at included a close-up shot of the main character. This introduction of the character to the audience early on enables the audience to recognise if a famous actor or actress is playing the main role. All films I looked at included a fantasy film element, including magic in Ella Enchanted, supernatural events in Time Bandits and Eclipse, and a possible villain in Matilda. Point of view shots like those used in Eclipse and Time Bandits made the audience feel like they were the main character and involved with the on-screen action. I particularly like the idea of a point of view shot, as it's used in the 2 film openings that I looked at when the character is afraid. We have followed this convention well, especially when Emma finds the letter from her great-grandma in the attic towards the end of the opening. Some of the most common themes of fantasy films are magical events, mythical creatures, fantasy worlds, and a villain or hero. We also used non-diegetic sound to enhance the mood and atmosphere being created, which is also another convention used in a fantasy film. Including the main conventions such as supernatural events and mythical creatures, they would be difficult to construct, especially on our budget. Examples include Eclipse, when an unknown super-fast creature appears behind the main character, and also when the magic spell in Ella Enchanted would also be difficult to construct, as well as the make-believe unicorn which appears in the idyllic village. This village in itself follows the convention of a fantasy or parallel world as the setting. We generally fit into the conventions of the fantasy genre by having magical elements, such as when the ring is left behind by Emma's great-grandma. It's almost like a transportation mechanism which takes Emma to an unknown place. So this element could also be classed as being a supernatural event because it's not lifelike. We also used music that builds up tension and uncertainty, which worked well, and even in our audience feedback it shows that what we created was a fantasy film, so it shows that by sticking to the conventions it does work well. As a group, when looking at previous fantasy films, we looked at the conventions of an opening sequence so that the content and also production was accurate to a real-life media product. We included titles throughout and also music, and we introduced the main character and the main theme of a fantasy film, which in this case is magical powers of the ring.